Terrible Vengeance. Chapter 7. Davis Speaks. If there be any truth in old saws, Mr. Murray's wooing was a very happy one. Certainly it was very speedy. By the end of October he and Miss Kedrick were engaged, and before Christmas the family lawyers had their hands full drawing settlements and preparing deeds. Miss Murray disliked letting any money slip out of her own control, but she had gone too far to recede, and Mr. Kedrick was not a man who would have tolerated any proceeding of the sort. Perfectly straightforward himself, he compelled straightforwardness in others, and Miss Murray was obliged to adhere to the terms proposed when nothing seemed to her less probable than that the marriage she wished ever would take place. As for the bridegroom, he won golden opinions from Mr. Kedrick. Beyond the income to be insured to his wife and himself, he asked for nothing. Further, he objected to nothing. Never before, surely, had a man been so easily satisfied. All I have ever wanted, he said, was some settled income, so that I might not feel completely dependent on my grandmother. That will now be secured, and I am quite satisfied. He deferred to Mr. Kedrick's opinions and wishes, and he made no stipulations. "You are giving me a great prize," he told the delighted father, "of which I am not worthy, but I will try to make her happy." And the gentle girl was happy. No tenderer, more devoted lover could be proudest beauty if desired. With truth, he told her he counted the days till she should be his, for he felt secure when by her side. The footsteps had never followed him to Losdale Court, just in the place that of all others he would have expected them to come. He failed to see that tiny print. There were times when he even forgot it for a season. When he did remember it, he believed, with a faint burn of hope, that he should never see them again. "I wonder he has the conscience," muttered Mr. Davis one morning, as he looked after the engaged pair. The valet had the strictest ideas concerning the rule conscience should hold over the doings of other folks, and some pleasingly lax notions about the sacrifices conscience had a right to demand from itself. "I suppose he thinks he's safe now that those feet are snugly tucked up in holy ground," proceeded Davis, who, being superstitious, faithfully subscribed to the old formula. "Ah, he doesn't know what I know, yet," which last word, uttered with much gusto, indicated a most unpleasant quarter of an hour in store at some point of period for Mr. Murray. It came one evening a week before his marriage. He was in London, in his grandmother's house, writing to the girl he had grown to love with the great, entire, remorseful love of his life, when Davis, respectful as ever, appeared, and asked if he might speak a word. Mr. Murray involuntarily put his letter beneath some blotting paper, and, folding his hands over both, answered, unconscious of what was to follow, "Certainly." Davis had come up with his statement at full cock, and fired at once. "I have been a faithful servant to you, sir." Mr. Murray lifted his eye and looked at him. Then he knew what was coming. "I have never found fault with you, Davis," he said, after an almost impeccable pause. "No, sir, you have been a good master. A master I am sure no servant who knew his place would find a fault with." If he had owned an easy mind and a small sense of humour, neither of which possession then belonged to Mr. Murray, he might have felt enchanted with such a complete turning of the tables. But as matters stood, he could only answer, "Good master as I have been, I suppose you wish to leave my service. Am I right, Davis?" "Well, sir, you are right, and you are wrong. I do not want to leave your service just yet. It may not be quite convenient to you for me to go now. Only I want to come to an understanding." "About what?" Mr. Murray asked, quite calmly, though he could feel his heart thumping hard against his ribs, and that peculiar choking sensation which is the warning of what in such cases must come some day. "Will you cast your mind back, sir, to a morning in last August, when you called my attention to some extraordinary footprints on the floor of your room?" "I do remember the morning," said Mr. Murray, that choking sensation seeming to suffocate him. "Pray, go on." If Davis had not been a master of the position, this indifference would have daunted him. As it was, he began touching the trigger, and fired this. "I know all." Mr. Murray's answer did not come so quick this time. The waters had gone over his head, and for a moment he felt as a man might if suddenly flung into a raging sea, and battled for his life. He was battling for his life with a wildly leaping heart. The noise of 100 billows seemed bashing on his brain. Then the tempest lulled, the roaring torrent was swayed, and he said interrogatively, "Yes?" The prints of those phantom feet had not amazed Davis more than did his master's coolness. "You might have knocked me down with a feather," he stated, when subsequently relating this interview. "I knew he always was a queer customer, but I never knew how queer till then." "Yes," said Mr. Murray, with a quite disconcerted his valet. "I wouldn't have seen what I've seen," Sir remarked. "Not for a king's ransom." "No?" "No, sir, and that's the truth. What we both saw has been with me at bed and at board, as the saying is ever since. When I shut my eyes, I still feel those wet feet dabbling about a room, and in the broad sunshine I can't help shuddering, because there seemed to be a cold mist creeping over me." "Are you not a little imaginative, Davis?" asked his master, himself repressing a shudder. "No, sir, I'm not. No man can be that about which his own eyes have seen and his own ears have heard, and I have heard and seen what I can never forget, and that nothing could pay me for going through." "Nevertheless," suggested Mr. Murray, "I don't know whether I'm doing right in holding my tongue, in being so faithful, sir, but I can't help it. I took to you from the first, and I wouldn't bring harm on you if any act of mine could keep it. When one made the remark to me a while ago, it was a strange thing to see a gentleman attended by a pair of wet footprints. I said they were a sign in your family some great event was about to happen." "Did you say so?" "I did, sir, Lord forgive me," answered Davis with unblushing mundanity. "I have gone through more than I will ever be known over this affair, which has shook me, Mr. Murray. I am not the man I was before Gus took to follow me, and getting into trains without paying any fare, and walking in the middle of the night, and rousing me out of my warm bed to see sights I would not have believed I could have seen if anybody had sworn it to me. I have aged over 25 years since last August. My nerves are destroyed. And so, sir, before you got married, I thought I would make bold to ask what I am to do with the constitution broken in on your service and hardly a penny put by." And almost out of breath with this pathetic statement, Davis stopped and waited for an answer. With a curiously haunted expression in them, Mr. Murray raised his eye and looked at Davis. "You have thought over all this," he said. "How much do you assess them at?" I scarcely compare—" "Assess what at?" "Your broken constitution, in the 25 years you say you've aged." His master's face was so gravely serious that Davis could take the question neither as a jest nor a sneer. It was a request to fix a price, and he did so. "Well, sir," he answered, "I thought it over. In the night watches, when I could get no rest, I lay and reflected what I ought to do. I want to act fair. I have no wish to drive a hard bargain with you. And on the other hand, I don't think I would be doing justice by a man that has worked hard if I let myself be sold for nothing. So, sir, to cut a long story short, I am willing to take £2,000. "And where do you imagine I am to get £2,000? Mr. Davis, modestly intimidated, he knew his place better than to presume to have any notion, but no doubt Mr. Murray could raise that sum easily enough. "If I could raise such a sum for you, do you not think I would have raised it for myself long ago?" Davis answered that he did, but if he might have free to say so, times have changed. They are indeed," said Mr. Murray bitterly. Then there was silence. Davis knocked the conversational ball the next time. "I am in no particular hurry, sir," he said. "So long as we understand one another, I can wait till you come back from Italy, and I've got the handling of some cash of your own. I dare say even then you won't be able to pay me off all at once. But if you can insure your life—" "I can't insure my life. I've tried. I've been refused." Again there ensued a silence, which Davis broke once more. "Well, sir," he began, "I'll chance that. If you give me a line of writing about what you owe me, and make a sort of will, saying I'm to get 2,000, I'll hold my tongue about what's gone and past. And I will not be frightened, sir, if I was you. Things are quiet now, and please be to God, you might never have any more trouble. Mr. Davis, in view of his £2,000, his widow, and his wayside public, felt disposed to take an optimistic view of even his master's position. But Mr. Murray's thoughts were of a different hue. If I do have any more, he considered, I shall go mad. A conclusion which seemed likely enough to follow upon even the memory of the phantom feet, coming dabbling out of an unseen world to follow him with their accursed print in his. David was not going abroad with the happy pair. For sufficient reason, Mr. Murray decided to leave him behind, and Mrs. Murray, ever alive to her own convenience, instantly engaged him to stay on her with as a butler, her own being under a notice to leave. This, in a semi-official capacity, Davis witnessed the wedding, which people considered a quite splendid affair. What Davis thought of it can never truly be known, because when he left Lawsdale Church his face was whiter than the bride's dress, and after the newly wedded couple started on the first stage of their life journey, he went to his room and stayed in it till his services were required. There is no money would pay me for what I say, he remarked to himself. I went too cheap, but when once I handed the cash I'll never come again. I want him or them again. What was he referring to? Well, just this. As the bridal group moved to the vestry, he saw, if no one else did, those wet feet softly and swiftly threading their way around the bridesmaid and the groomsman in front of the relations, before Mr. Murray himself, and hurried on to keep step with the just wed pair. For the last time the young wife signed her maiden name. Friends crowded around, uttering congratulations, and still through the throng those unnoticed feet kept walking in and out, round and round, backward and forward, as a dog threads its way through the people at a fair. Down the aisle under the sweeping dress of the ladies, past courtly gentlemen, Davis saw those awful feet running gleefully till they came up with bride and bridegroom. She is going abroad with them, thought the man, and then for a moment he felt as if he could endure the ghastly vision no longer, but must faint dead away. It's a vile shame, he reflected, to drag an innocent girl into such a whirlpool. And all the time, over the church step, the feet were dancing merrily. The clerk and the verger noticed them at last. I wonder who's been here with wet feet, said the clerk, and the verger wonderingly answered he did not know. Davis would have told them, had he been willing to speak, or was capable of it.